Welcome to Newcastle Central, and we have a second platform that's all done in place. I'm pretty excited to get this out here. It's taken quite a while on and off with the way the weather's been out here in the Seattle area. So let's go ahead and look at how I put this second platform together. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. So this is now with the second platform loosely in place. They don't have any of the coverings on it like I do with this one over here, and this one isn't quite in place. They're all still just very loosely put down, but this is what would be platforms 3 and 4, I think. 2 and 3, I can't remember, my math isn't great right now. Let me double check. That would be platforms 3 and 4. I had to do a quick look on the actual panel here to see what we're looking at. So quite happy with how this one came in. Again, just loosely put down in place, but I can now get just about starting to get wrecks of those HSTs in, so I don't have the actual locos in place. Probably wouldn't actually have them here on platform 4, would on 3, and then on the far side platform 2. So platforms 2 and 3 are mainly what I'll probably be running the HSTs on, and so as you can see, you would just have room to get the DVT and local on the far end as well. You just about have enough clearance to get those in, which is, I knew it was going to be tight. Platform 2 will be fine. So platform 2 is what will be coming in on this far side where some of those older coaches are as well. So you will be able to get 2 full, either the full length Mark 3s or the Mark 4s, which is what these ones are. These are the shorty Mark 3s. So I have a couple of wrecks of those I've got in a City Swallow, and then I have the old BR Blue. So I think this will give me, some good variety. This would probably end up being, I probably wouldn't even run 5 cars. This would probably just be 4 cars pulled by something like a class 40 or a class 47. Or this would maybe be where some of the DMUs come in, although ideally I want to try and keep these far platforms 9, 10, 11, and 12, and then over on that side platforms 0 and 1. That's more where I want to keep DMUs. I want to be able to keep these ones free and opened up so that if I was wanting to just do some bypass, bypass trends can come in on this kind of platform. This one right here is going to be for Fred bypass. If we try and shuffle this out of the way, hopefully I have all the points lined up correctly, so I'm not going to have these jumping out the way. So the exact same construction as I'd used before. This platform is quite a bit wider, and there is a reason for that. What we'll actually have, I think I've talked about this on a previous video, somewhere around here there'll be a bridge that'll come up and over these 2 lines, and then there'll be stairway going down. I'm trying to think if there's actually a ramp. I can't remember if there is a ramp or not. And then there'll be another bridge that comes over to here, and there's actually a wall that runs through the middle of here as well. So there'll actually be a wall that comes up in the middle, and I can't recall if the bridge comes all the way over or if it's split. I believe it comes over between the 2, and then stairwells up and down. So it's a fairly wide platform. Once you get into there, it's actually only going to be about half of that. So I think it'll actually look pretty good. I'm excited to see all of this coming together now. If we bring the BR Blues back into place, and then kind of take a step back, you've now got wrecks of coaches lined up actually at platforms. So if we come down here, even with them just very loosely being in place and it's not actually being lined up properly, it's actually starting to look a lot more like an actual station would do now. Once we get these other platforms put in place, and that's going to be, I say it's going to be quite a task. I actually don't think that it's going to be, now that I look at it and how hard it's been to try and do these curved platforms. This one went an awful lot quicker than this first one did. Now there's a lot less curves to it, and I've also done 2 of them at this point, so it's technically the third one that I've built here. So this is actually fairly shallow curves here, and then again on the far side here, these are fairly shallow curves. Probably built in 3 sections. Now that I'm starting to plan more out, so one that'll run probably to the end of where the buffer stops would be, another one at buffer stops, and then another one here in this middle part. I'm thinking that's kind of how it's going to be. But anyway, you know, quite happy with how this one is starting to take shape. I am a little unsure now about this approach that I had originally thought of, not attaching them down. As much as these were laying flat, and they are flat until I bring them out here, they do then seem to move a little bit. So what I'm probably going to do once I would get everything finished up and ballasted and weathered is I probably will end up gluing these down. I can't see how they're going to stay in place given that the card is so light. There's just no weight on these to try and keep them down. It's not like it's made from wood, so that's something to figure out as I go along. But now I can take this platform back inside. Everything's lined up perfectly first time. When I say lined up perfectly, I have more of a gap than I wanted on this particular side. This one is fine. This is almost perfect. I've got a little bit more of a gap on that side, but I think that's okay because I don't know if it'll end the platform will end up shuffling a little bit over. I might be able to do that. But now I can go ahead and wrap it in paper. So it actually starts to look more like a platform, kind of like this one does. And that makes a huge difference as well. When you're looking just at the card like that, it doesn't really look all that impressive until you then start to actually get it all put together and it actually starts to look like a platform. So I'll be right back, at least video-wise. I'll be right back, and hopefully this will look more like a finished platform. Well, I think we're starting to look a little bit more impressive now. That is now that second platform. And plus, I've also got some locos out. They're not actually going to run right now, unfortunately. There is a reason for that. It's snowing outside. It's been very, very cold here. I live just outside Seattle in the northwest of the United States. Very, very cold. We've got a lot of snow up in the mountains. I'm kind of right on the edge of the mountains, at the bottom of the valley. So it is probably freezing in here. I have a little electric heater going. I think the only difference that is making is the smell in here. It's probably a little bit dusty. And if I stand literally right in front of it, then my toes feel warm-ish, and that's about it. So I definitely need to figure out insulation. I had actually been looking at insulation at the hardware store, and I just want to give you guys a look as to what I'm kind of dealing with here. It's not really any kind of 2x4 framing, and we've got this weird lattice work around the inside. So on the outside I had then put sheeting and then wood siding on, but I'm really struggling to figure out how I can insulate this because I just don't have the kind of space that I need to be able to put actual insulation in. And could cut out that kind of wood lattice and then on the bottom as well, but that would be really, really tough to do now that I've got all the bench work in place and now that I've got the wood siding on the outside. So I try to kind of do it the cheap way by not putting insulation in when I did this back in the springtime, and now I'm kind of regretting that decision given how cold it is out here. But if anyone has any ideas on how they've insulated wooden sheds, then please do let me know. I've looked at a couple of different options if I'm going to do phased fiberglass insulation. I looked at the wool insulation. Looked at foam board. That looks like probably the thinnest material that I could work with, but also probably the most expensive that I could work with. So I'm just trying to figure out the best way to approach this. But anyway, second platform is done and is in place. I might be able to just manually roll this one out of the way. So it's exactly the same as the first platform video that I had done. We just focus on a little bit there. So I quite enjoy how this looks. Although having said that, this little edging here probably takes almost as long as everything else. It really is just incredibly fiddly to do. But I think now when you look down, let's zoom back in, focus in. Now when you look back down, we're starting to actually see see what the station is going to look like. This part here, I think I'd mentioned before, will be almost like a little service area for hooking up water or taking out wastewater and stuff like that. And so my next little part as we have coming up over the Christmas break here is going to be figuring out the actual rest of the platforms here. Figured out the curved platforms pretty good now. I think I pretty much got that down to a T, so kind of looking forward actually to getting this last part done. Yeah, quite happy with how this has come together. That's now 2 platforms done. The 2 hardest platforms done as well. I definitely kind of went with the hardest one and then probably the biggest one, and now moving into ones where they're fairly easy because there's really not that much curves. If we look at these ones, there's not really a whole lot of curves going on there, but just kind of fills in the space a little bit. One other thing that I had done, I don't actually have it out here with me to show you. The model train club that I'm a part of up here, United Northwest, building 5 new modules for their N-track layout, and they were using essentially it's a camo spray for brown, ultra flat spray. And so when they had laid the track, they then basically sprayed everything, cleaned the top of the rails off. They had actually, I did this part. I had covered up the point work and then spread it, take the tape off, and then go through and then just paint those by hand. Did that before they put the ballast down, and part of the reasoning there was ballasting takes a long time. And even still, it's ideally you want kind of some kind of undertone to that. So I'm planning on doing the same thing here, because once I saw the transformation of going from the bare baseboards to having it sprayed like that, I was like, wow, that makes such a difference. And it's probably going to be quite some time before I would get to ballasting this. Probably then even longer before I would get to airbrushing to actually weather it down. I don't have an airbrush. I don't know when I'm going to be able to afford an airbrush, let alone the time to practice on how to use it. But the spray of the paint I thought was a fantastic finish. It's a base finish, I guess, in the intermediary step. Because a lot of this, when I was putting down the foam, I had to take up some parts and then clean it up, and so it just looks, it's a little frustrating to me to see it. It's not actually that bad on camera, but I would like to not be looking at just bare baseboards for the next year or whatever. So plan over the Christmas break, or 2-week Christmas break coming up. Well, not quite 2 weeks, but 10 days or so I've got off work. Plan is to try and get the track cleaned up. When I had been laying in the flex track, I cut out the sleepers on the joiners here, and I've kept all of those, so put all of those back in place, and then look and see how to protect the point work when I do it. I'm not as concerned because they're all electro frogs, so it's not like I have to really pay attention to keep the contacts here clean. It's all electro frog anyway, so I just need to figure out the best way to protect those when I'm going to spray it, get it sprayed. And I would like to have at least the cardboard base parts of the rest of the platform done. I don't know if I'll get all of the paperwork in place, but I would like to get at least the best platforms done, and then I think we'll really start to see something cool coming together. So let me know what you think of how it's going. If you got any ideas on insulating a wooden shed, or if you've done an attic, something like that, a loft, what materials did you use, and did you then put any finishing on it? Also looked at like the insulation sheathing, kind of the foil stuff almost, that you would then put as a finishing over the top. Did that make a difference, or was just like the fiberglass or the foam insulation enough? I've seen a couple of different ways of doing that. Some people do put that sheeting on, some people don't. Any ideas on if there's anything special I need to do on the point work here before I would spread? So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. If this is your first time watching, then please do subscribe. It's great to see people following along. So take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.